Speak about the First Nations Education Act that is soon to be pushed forth in the middle of October. But first I want to just give a little background information on October 7th, today. So there was a national call out by the heads of the I Don't Know More movement to have a national worldwide action on October 7th because today represents the 400th anniversary of the signing of the Royal Proclamation. Now, if you don't know what the Royal Proclamation is, it was the very first agreement, the foundation that what makes Canada what it is today. Now, when they first signed it, it was based on an agreement between the settler colonizers and the Indigenous people that we would live together and we would work together, that decisions and everything made would be on an equal basis, that we would both have input on what happens in this land. They agreed to our terms of that to stay here. Now, somewhere along the way, this whole idea, this notion has gone askew, and they have stopped taking our input into effect. They do not ask us anymore. They just push bills through and they just decide what they want to do and then they just do it. That is not a fair process. That is not an equal process. And this is why we are here today, because we need to stand up and get our voices back and say, you know what, you didn't ask us. You need to ask us. The government needs to recognize their agreement. They need to recognize that we have a say. They need to recognize that we are equal on this country. This is our country first. We let them stay here. They didn't let us stay here. So that's one of the big reasons October 7th is a very pivotal day across the world. That's why all the actions are taking place today, because the Royal Proclamation needs to be reevaluated and they need to reestablish their part in this agreement. So the First Nations Education Act, they have out currently what they call the First Nations Education Act print. And if you read this, they talk about how they have consulted with First Nations people, and they've now read all our feedback and this is what they've come up with. But if you really look at it, they have not consulted very much with Aboriginal people. They have consulted with a very, very minuscule few amount of people. That is not nearly enough. It is a nation-to-nation agreement that we have in this country. That means every tribe, every nation, every reserve, every city council person needs to be consulted in these decisions, not just who they feel they think should be consulted. And when they say that they hold these consultations, it's just an appeasement to say that they've done it. There was no real consultation at all. They just, it's like what I like to call it false consultation, because they just invite about 10, 15 people that they strategically want there, and then they say, okay, look, there's your consultation, this is what we have. And now I've seen documents with people that they have consulted with, and they have written letters back to the government saying, no, we do not agree with what you are handing us. We do not agree with this. So tell me, how is it if they have multiple people saying that they do not agree with this act, why is it still going through on the 18th? Who decides this? Apparently Harper just gets to decide whatever he wants. That's not fair. Again, he is taking for granted his power and he is not consulting us. We need to stand up and say, no, that's not right. You need to consult us. So contained in this this act, it says this is what we've asked for, this is what we offer, which is fine and dandy, even though everything that they offer has nothing to do with what we've actually said. We have said that we want to make the framework for our own people. We want to decide where the money goes for our own people. We want to decide what we teach our people, because we know what to teach them, we know how to teach them that keeps them successful in this world. So the government has taken that all in theory, and now they say, okay, we'll give you all that, but we are going to decide the minimal standards that you have to adhere by. Now, does that sound like freedom to you? No, I don't think so. So again, all it is they're keeping control. They're trying to keep the power over us by saying that they get to decide the minimal standards. And again, it's a tricky thing, because if they get to keep that power and decide what the minimal standards are, then they get to take things away from us. If we don't adhere, or if we're not meeting those minimal standards and they have the control and they get to decide, then they get to take stuff away from us. So then they get to tell us how to do it. They get to tell us what we deliver. They get to tell us where we deliver it. And so the whole blueprint to this point is it just comes back to the control of the government over our autonomy, the control over the government on our education, the control of the government over our people yet again. Like they tried it back in the day with residential school, because education is a pivotal thing for the government. As long as they keep Aboriginal people ignorant, they keep Aboriginal people under control, and they know this. We have to stop this. We have to educate ourselves. We have to take control of what we teach ourselves and take control just of ourselves so that we can stand up and face these people. And I think it's really interesting because one of the things I noticed that is not in the education blueprint is more funding to deliver this project, more funding to build schools, more funding to buy more books. There is absolutely no mention of more funding to even get us up to par with the educational standards of the rest of this country. Why is that not addressed? Why is that not a pivotal aspect of the First Nations Education Act, is to, at the minimal, get us up to the par with the rest of the damn country? I think they need to look at that first. They need to address these kind of things before they again start stepping in and trying to tell us what they think is best for the Indian. Because clearly after all these years, they do not know what is best for us. We do. Thank you. Have a good day.